The Alpha Sessions with Ron Laver.
Welcome in Harrowman to Alpha Sessions today. How are you today?
I'm not too bad, Ron. Not too bad. How are you doing?
Yeah, good, thank you. First off, I wanted to ask you about the name Harrowman.
Sure. Yeah. So it's a bit of a pseudonym. I think the world is ready for quite a bit of change. A lot needs to change. So a harrow is kind of like an old plough, an old-fashioned plough. So it's kind of like turning over the earth, starting anew, change. That's where it comes from. I didn't go to Harrow college or anything.
No, well, it's to be honest with you, that was my first thought because, well, certainly that you were from Harrow because that's where we're based. We're based
Oh, I
here in
see.
Harrow, so
No,
that was the immediate thought. But then I thought about it and thought, no, it's with the music you're playing and singing and writing. I thought it's probably something to do with the land. And okay, so.
Absolutely.
Let's move on to that then. So, what influences you in your music?
There's a myriad of influences. Certainly the natural world and the environment, conservation and care of our planet and our natural world, which is now becoming more important than ever. But also everyday experiences, anything from experiences of love, compassion, everyday experiences from my hometown, and also more global experiences as well from my travels abroad. I spent nearly 2 years traveling around Australia, New Zealand, and parts of Asia, so you get some of that influence in there as well. And while I was traveling, I also experienced almost firsthand the effects of climate change and the effects that's having on communities around the world and natural ecosystems as well. So it's a lot of the natural world in there, but also personal experiences and some quaint, quirky hometown stuff as well.
Where you travelled there is certainly a beautiful part of the world, and you were actually there then when the fires were burning in 2019 in Australia, I take it.
I saw after effects. No, it was before that. It was forest fires well before that. This was back in 2008, 2009, I think. And even
They suffer with fires most years, don't they? Just the
yes,
2019
yeah,
one was the biggie, really, wasn't it? Worse than it.
yeah, that was particularly savage and elongated. But it was witnessing the after effects and what the fires had done to the landscape and also a lot of the farms and properties out there, and also seeing the Great Barrier Reef and going diving there and seeing the bleaching of the coral, and then again I went out to Asia and saw a lot of bleaching of the coral out there and a lot of the breakdown of the marine ecosystems there, and it was quite sobering, and it was okay. Well, this is really this is a massive problem.
Mm. Did you go to those places because that was already your thought, about the planet and about nature and things and the way the world is going, or was it visiting those places that sort of started your interest? How far back does this interest in the planet and the ecosystem go?
Um, I was aware of it on a local level in terms of local conservation around my sort of home counties of Surrey and Hampshire, but it wasn't until I went travelling abroad and saw, okay, this is happening elsewhere, and this is a completely different part of the world, and they're having completely different problems, but they're all caused by the same thing essentially, which is this global warming effect. It was really then I came back and thought, okay, this is a massive issue, and looked more into it really, and now it's really hitting the headlines, or has done over the last 4 to 5 years, and people are a lot more aware now. But back then it was quite a shock for me.
Mm. So you started this your musical career then early on, and all with that slant on conservation and the planet, etc. What sort of musical interests influences did you have then when you were back home?
I'm a big fan of the kind of the classic troubadours, but also singer-songwriters like James Taylor. I'm a massive fan of John Martin as well. Huge fan of Paul Simon, Joni Mitchell. So it's those kind of classic singer-songwriter troubadours that I'm really into, and that kind of that intricate ticking guitar picking technique, sort of for four fingers and thumbs all moving independently. That's what I love. That's my thing. I just love that. I used to pore over tabs and how are they doing that with how they're keeping the bass with their thumb, but also doing all these melodies with their fingers as well. And I just pored over tabs of John Martin and James Taylor. And then more recently, artists like A.A. Bondi, Elliott Smith as well does a bit of that. Artists like Andy Shaw as well. Big fan of his songs and the way he writes. So yeah, I'm definitely on the troubadour train.
You've released in fact you've released two you've released a 10-track album in 2019 called The Right of Way, and that the write-up on that says it's a call to re-establish values of community, family and self-identity.
That's correct, yeah.
And then coming on from that, your latest EP, which was released this year, A Fugitive, and a celebration of natural world and statement about the personal and collective concerns of interaction and our role as a species to turn the tide of climate crisis. So there's a progression there that you spoke about earlier, which is your first album was about community and the values, I suspect from your home life and seeing what goes on around you, and then 2020 has taken that to another level.
Yes, it was. Looking back, it's quite strange because when I was writing songs for Right of Way, a lot of them were to do with the kind of fragmentation that's occurred with the digital revolution. Really, a lot of people are very much insular on their phones. They're reaching out across the world, but they're not really seeing who's in front of them. Maybe they're not interacting as close with their immediate community as they could be, because they're constantly on their digital devices, and it's the modern world being taken up by that. Fast forward, and then COVID hits, and then suddenly actually people are starting to almost re-establish or find their community again, because they've had to. They've had to start looking out for the local community and start keeping tabs and pull together to get through this awful pandemic. So it's quite weird seeing the juxtaposition of releasing Right of Way and then the pandemic happening. And it was quite strange seeing that. But yeah, Fugitive is very much about the natural world, and the pandemic did disrupt recordings. It was meant to be released much earlier, sort of late spring, early summer, but the pandemic disrupted the recording session, so it's kind of happened a lot later, the release of Fugitive. But I've been really happy with the response, and really happy with the outcome of it. And
we're going to hear some tracks off of that today. The first one, Trick of Light. Tell me something about that.
So Trick of the Light is about the humble, elusive but graceful otter. I was lucky enough to encounter these creatures down in the West Country when I was on the trip there, and they're just magical to watch. They're just so graceful, and just beautiful things to watch. I also really like the writings of Maxwell, Henry Williamson, and Miriam Darlington. They all write really poetically about nature and about the otter specifically. So that was a big influence on this song. And they're a success story. So it's a hopeful success story. They were reintroduced. They were almost extinct by the end of the 70s because they've been hunted. Their waterways have been polluted by humans and farming and industry. And then they started to make a comeback when we started to just clean up our act a bit with the rivers, and hunting was banned. So it's kind of like this is possible. We can clean up our act a bit as humans and coexist with animals and help them to thrive. So that's what Trick of the Light is about, really.
trade. You search ever wider to seek scarcer prey. Each day as it goes to the river, sleek, fierce and focused, playful in gait, through reeds, marram and clover, your highways are made. Webbed paws, claws and nose, each day as it goes, as the river flows. Trick of the light, graceful at night, hidden from sight, just to survive, just to survive. Enduring the winters, snares, traps and gins, the howling hounds, the spikes of man, toxic river swims, in a world that has shrunk back. You greet the dusky light, hunting, adapting, harbor to moors on high. Webbed paws, claws and nose, as the river flows. Trick of the light, graceful at night, hidden from sight, just to survive, just to survive, oh just to survive, just to survive. Webbed paws, claws and nose, as the river flows. Webbed paws, claws and nose, webbed paws, claws and nose, webbed paws, claws and nose.
The Alpha Sessions with Ron Laver.
Do you come from Farnham?
Yes, yeah, Farnham born and bred. I moved to London for about 8 years and then moved back out. So it's kind of, went to London, did the London thing.
Didn't like it.
Got a bit burnt out and came back out again. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I grew up around the Surrey-Hampshire borders. Do a lot of long distance running, so I was always out in in the woodlands and the fields and around the Greenbelt areas. And you've got the North Downs, and then if you travel obviously further down south, and you've you've got the South Downs as well. So it's an area I love dearly.
I was interested because you had a single in between the two releases we've talked about, the album and the EP, and you talk about the Britain's most haunted town, Farnham.
Yes.
And can you tell us something about what that single was about?
Yeah, that was a good bit of fun. Apparently, Farnham is the most haunted town in Britain. If you believe in that thing. So there's all kinds of ghost stories. I used to have a cousin who was a head chef at a restaurant, and deliveries would suddenly be, sort of appear inside the building when there's nowhere they could have got in. And it used to be a theatre, and there was an old ghost called George. It used to haunt the place, and the castle's haunted. The main church is haunted. So yeah, there's loads of stories. If you go to Farnham Museum, you'll get the lowdown on all the haunted stories. But yeah, that was a good bit of fun.
Yeah, it's good. As you say, it's a good fun track. I enjoyed listening to that one very much. Yeah, and the little write up that went with it. Obviously, like everyone else, you've been in lockdown for a greater part of the last year, and to a degree, we still are. I don't know which tier you're in. Probably 2, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. How has that been for you? How have you found that?
Musicians, as with a lot of sectors, and the arts especially, have been hit very hard. So you had to diversify, had to do quite a lot of online gigs, which I wasn't comfortable doing initially, but I think it's taken a lot of people out of their comfort zone, and they've become a lot more technologically adapt to that, and that's certainly true in my case. So I've had to adapt and do quite a lot of online gigs, do quite a few charity fundraisers as well through music, for charities such as Shooting Star Chase, which is a children's hospice, and yeah, just not trying to get too involved in all all of the news and the press briefings, keeping tabs on what's happening, but not getting too involved in it. Just trying to stay positive, really, because the more I was looking at the news, the more depressed I was getting, to be honest. So yeah, it's been a chance to sort of maybe move slightly away from the digital world and appreciate what we have a bit more, and yes, a bit more time for writing as well, but mainly it's been adapting and trying to survive, taking gigs online. That's been the big shift.
Has folk music always been your thing, or do you like other sorts of music? Do you listen to other sorts of music, or is it just 100% folk for you?
It's probably easier to say the genres I don't like.
Okay.
There's very few genres of music I don't like. I don't like cheesy, corny country music, and I don't like really, really kind of hardcore grime, kind of drill, mumble rap, that kind of genre. I don't like that. That's about it. I'll listen to anything from classical to metal, indie rock, jazz, funk. I'm a music fanatic, but what I use as the vehicle to get my words and my feelings across, and the poetry I write, is the guitar, is that folk music, because you can do so much with the guitar. It's so versatile. My first instrument was actually the trumpet, so that's I learned to read music for trumpet, and then kind of got a bit bored of that, and then self-taught myself guitar. So I can read music for trumpet, but I can't really, apart from tabs, I'm not classically trained as a singer or a guitarist. It was kind of backwards. I came to the guitar quite late, but I've always enjoyed singing and writing, but the guitar came later. So I've done it a bit backwards, if you like. But yeah, I love using folk as a vehicle for communicating my songs.
Yeah, well, that's put me in my place. Your dislike of country music, but we'll skip over that. But I like to hear people say that. They like all sorts of music. They're not stuck in one groove, particularly in their listening habits.
Yeah, I love it. Anything from Rage Against the Machine to Vivaldi, Miles Davis through to Aretha Franklin, and Paul Epworth through to Brian Eno. Most of the gambit, just not the country and the cheesy, corny country. I can't do it.
To be honest with you, Elvis Presley and Shep, you just can't beat it, you know. But that's another story. Yeah, you were saying there that you sort of came late to the guitar. So was that when you started writing music, or were you writing before you could actually play the guitar?
I was writing kind of poems really, and observations, and almost like comedy skits as well. I didn't pick the guitar up really properly until I went to university, so 2003, 2002, and I just learned a few chords, started playing a few songs like Pink Floyd, "Wish You Were Here," Green Day, that kind of thing, a
Hmm.
few David Bowie songs, and then I started thinking, oh, actually, maybe I'll try and put some of my words to music, and I just started, learning that way. And the more I got into the guitar, and the more I discovered seminal songwriters like James Taylor, I just started thinking, oh, how can I do that? I want to do that. It just felt like a natural fit and something I wanted to pursue. I was quite driven to learn, no matter how long it took to try and play like that.
Mm, mm. Yeah, James Taylor's one of my favourites as well. The
Yeah.
good thing with the country connection, and I find this with a lot of people, you do quite easily drift into folk music as well. As a
Yeah.
listener, I'm quite open to a lot of folk music. Yeah, and James
Yeah.
Taylor certainly. Yeah, and particularly in the '70s, when he
Mm.
first got famous, I
Oh,
loved his
those
stuff.
albums are just
Yeah.
they're just timeless. Yeah, they don't age. They never date. It's just incredible songwriting. And obviously we got Joni Mitchell and Carole King as well. Just incredible songwriters. Yeah.
Another track off your current album, Fugitive, EP rather, is No Retreat.
Yeah.
Tell us something about that.
So when I was out in Australia, I was on a working visa, just working my way around the country. Got to the Northern Territories, I was pretty near broke. We'd been travelling in an old van that was just about getting the miles in. And yeah, I was ended up working on a cattle station, which was 1 million acres, kind of red barren land, quite beautiful in its own rugged way. And we were just looking after the feeding of cattle on the station, also the horses there as well. I think they even had a water buffalo there left over from the times when they were building the railroad. It was quite rare, but
Yeah.
it was kind of a lawless, very hot, arid landscape. And I started to get, at that point, I'd been traveling for 8 months almost. I started to get a little homesick, a little lovesick, and so I kind of wrote the song about that lovely rugged landscape, but also missing the little island back home as well. Um, so yeah, that's a song that's been kicking around for a while. It's taken a while to shape it and hone it, but finally, thanks to the wonderful people at Wildwood Studios, we got a decent full band recording of it, which I was very happy with.
In a land so far removed from the claustrophobic moods of a little island that is home and true, amongst the red dust, big machines, and jagged hills, the fearsome heat, her mind is framing pictures all of you, and these secrets I will hold and strive to keep as you dance beneath the eyelids in my sleep. Unrequited, bitter, bold, first excited, then stone cold. Never tiring, I'll be smiling when we meet. No retreat. Ooh. Yes, one day in sunny spring, across the sea where I fell in to a charm that beckoned, teased and slipped away. Or he left 1,000 times as he travels far and wide, throwing caution to the fire while trying to hide. Simple, cliche, dumb, yet still unique. Flashing smiles deep within my sleep. Unrequited, bitter, bold. First excited, then stone cold. Never tiring, always smiling when we meet. No retreat. Ooh. No retreat. Ooh. Out of control, out of luck, a pinch of salt, the smooth with rough. Hit the load, shed the load, just ride the breeze. Yet he can't leave well alone. That love that's built on hope, oh maybe someday, maybe one day we shall see. No retreat, no retreat, no retreat, no retreat.
The Alpha Sessions with Ron Laver.
Are you thinking about going out and gigging again in the new year?
I'd love to. I really miss performing in front of humans. I think any music fan or any musician or any performer is really, really missing that, being on stage and having that interaction, that connection. It's just gone, since February. The last live gig I went to properly was March the 8th, I think. I went to a socially distanced gig, but it was okay, but it wasn't the same, I'm really hoping, if the vaccine works out and people are sensible, we can get back to that, because we need it as musicians. Independent grassroots venues really need it, and the arts and the music sector in general needs it, especially those that rely on the festival circuit. They've seen their income gone for the year pretty much. It's really sad to think how many venues are going to have to close because of this permanently. How many people are going to be lost to the sector? They're just going to have to leave the sector. They just, it's been awful for that. So yeah, I'm hoping that I can get back on stage and everyone else can get back on stage and the whole music industry can get going again. That's my big hope for next year. And recording wise, if the songs are ready, I'll get back in the studio. But yeah, I'm just sort of pushing the EP release now, Fugitive, and hoping to get back on stage next year.
Okay. The question we like to ask everybody: if you were called by a promoter today, and just forget about COVID for the moment, and they said, "Okay, we want you to headline a gig anywhere in the world. You choose, and you can have anyone alongside you on stage there."
And any venue?
Any venue in the world, yeah, and any performer, dead or alive.
When you say alongside you, performing with you or supporting you on the bill?
No, performing with you, maybe even writing a little number with them and performing it on stage. You know, it's your gig, and anyone, they're all at your feet. Anybody you want to come and play with you.
That's really tough. The venue's easy, like Royal Albert Hall. I just love to play the Royal Albert Hall, so that's easy. Tick that box.
Okay.
Performer, I'm a huge Laura Marling fan. That'd be amazing to write a song and be on the same stage as Laura Marling, or AA Bondi. But if I had one, I guess I'd stay British. I'd go Laura Marling.
Okay. Well, we turn up in all sorts of places. You may hear this, so you never know, that may happen.
Oh.
It's been great talking to you. We got one more track to play, which is a cover of a John Martin song called "Don't Want to Know." Why did you pick this one?
I think it's quite relevant right now, and also harking back to what I was talking about in lockdown, just trying to keep the bad news at bay, keeping on tabs of the news, but not trying to let it, make you so anxious that you never want to go out again in your life. So yeah, it's don't want to know, and the main chorus line is, I don't want to know about no evil, I just want to know about love, because I think the world needs more love moving forward, and it's just a beautiful song. It's one of his best, in my opinion.
Okay, that's fair enough. And as I say, it's been really nice talking to you today. And if when all this is over, we could tempt you back into northwest London, and we could even show you Harrow.
Oh, there we go.
Your namesake as well. We could take you on a little tour of the highlights. So
that'd be good. Relevant. Be full circle. There we go. I can actually go and see my pseudonym in action.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, it'd be lovely to have you in the studio sometime, and
I'd like that.
We'll chase you up on that when all this is over. Okay.
Absolutely.
Thanks for talking to us today.
My pleasure. All the best.
Bye now.
About evil, I only wanna know about love, and I don't wanna know about evil. I only wanna know about love. Sometimes it gets so hard to listen, yeah, hard for me to use my eyes, and all around the cold is glistening, making sure it's keeping me down to size. And I don't wanna know about no evil, I only wanna know about love, and I don't wanna know about evil, I only wanna know about love. I'm waiting for the place to tumble, I'm waiting for the towns to fall, I'm waiting for the cities to crumble, I'm waiting till I see you crawl. Sometimes it gets so hard to listen, and hard for us to use our eyes, and all around that gold is glistening, making sure it's keeping us hypnotized. so easy.